Tactics in a Tesla by Pat Flynn is going to be successful. I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why. Here's a quick overview before I get into the details. Number 1, Jonah Berger describes this as using a horse head to sell cars, and that's in his book called Invisible Influence. Number 2, this is Pat's unfair advantage, and unfortunately his competition is not going to be able to do anything about it. And number 3, Pat's going to be able to replicate exactly what Jerry Seinfeld has done in his show. I'm Doug Cunnington. I talk about Amazon affiliate marketing and project management. So let's get to the 3 reasons why Tactics in a Tesla is going to be successful. This is number 1. So back in the day when cars were just being introduced, everyone was used to a horse-drawn carriage or a buggy, and people weren't used to seeing an automobile go by. They were used to seeing a horse in front pulling a carriage, right? An inventor had this great idea of mounting a horse head, like a life-size full horse head situation, on the front of cars so that people wouldn't be so alarmed. Now that is not exactly what Pat Flynn is doing here. He's introducing something that's familiar in 2 ways. So number 1, this is a format that a lot of people are familiar with. Now, I haven't even watched the show, but Jerry Seinfeld has a show called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and they're in a car, right? This is familiar in that way, right? Again, I haven't even watched the Seinfeld show, but I'm familiar with it. And when I saw this format on Pat's channel, I was like, hey, I want to watch that. And guess what? A lot of other people did too. The other part that's familiar is Pat, right? So we're used to seeing Pat Flynn interview people, maybe not seeing, but we hear it on the podcast. So this is familiar in that way because we know what to expect when Pat interviews someone. Number 2, Pat has a huge unfair advantage over his competition. Pat has hundreds of podcast episodes, so he's able to look at the data. So he knows what topics work. He knows what topics are not as popular, but maybe they had a lot of interaction, maybe as a blog post. He knows what topics work well, and he could go back to those topics, and he already has like a really strong background in those areas as well. And to wrap it up, number 3. Now, Pat's going to be able to do this pretty much like Seinfeld. So Jerry Seinfeld has a huge network, obviously had one of the most popular sitcoms in the world. It's syndicated all over the world. He basically can have his assistant or manager or whoever call anyone and get them on the show. I mean, President Obama was in one of Jerry's cars and they drove around and got coffee, right? Pat doesn't have the same network, but he has a similar reach, right? The people that have been on Pat's podcast are amazing. And I'm just going to throw out a couple people that I would like to see. Derek Halpern, sort of a mentor from afar. Ramit Sethi, a big fan of Ramit's as well. I'm a huge fan of each of those guys. Would love to see them on the show sometime. So thanks for checking this out. Again, I'm Doug Cunnington, and I talk about Amazon affiliate marketing. So if you're interested in niche sites and that sort of thing, have a look around my channel and please subscribe. Thanks.